The urgency of the present is not just a motivational phrase, it is the weight of reality pressing on every breath you take. We live as if time is ours to command, as if tomorrow is already guaranteed, waiting patiently for us to arrive. But that's the lie we've been sold. We put things off, we delay, we make plans without thought, as if we've been promised 1,000 tomorrows. But time doesn't ask for your permission, it moves with or without you. Seconds slip like sand through fingers, and you don't even notice they're gone until the hourglass is nearly empty. There's a kind of arrogance that settles in the human heart, a quiet voice that says, later, I'll get serious later, I'll deal with that later, I'll live intentionally later. And that voice is a liar, that voice is a thief. It robs you of the very moment you're in. It convinces you that this moment isn't urgent, that you can afford to waste it, scroll through it, complain through it, sleep through it. And so entire years vanish while you wait for the right time. But the truth is, the right time doesn't exist. All you ever really have is now. Look around, everyone is busy, everyone is running, but very few are awake. Most are just reacting, responding to noise, chasing deadlines, doing what they've always done without asking why. We think being busy means we're being productive, that if our schedules are full, we must be doing something right. But that's the trap. You can be running full speed and still be completely lost. Busyness can be a distraction, a drug that keeps you from confronting the deeper questions. Because to stop and think about what really matters would force you to face some uncomfortable truths. That maybe you're not living the life you were meant to live. That maybe all your striving is just masking your fear of insignificance. The present is the only space where real change happens, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. The future is an illusion. It always stays out of reach. When you finally arrive at tomorrow, it just becomes today. And if you're not living with intention today, then you're not living at all. You're drifting, and drifting always leads to destruction, not because you made some massive mistake, but because you never made a real decision. You just let time carry you like a dead leaf on the wind. Do you understand how precious this moment is? Not just emotionally, but spiritually. Right now, your heart is beating, not because you earned it, not because you deserve it, but because mercy is still holding you up. There's a holy urgency in that. Every breath is a second chance. Every sunrise is a silent call. Wake up. It's not too late, but it's getting later. And the longer you ignore that call, the more numb you become to it. You stop feeling the urgency, you stop noticing the passing of time, you trick yourself into thinking you'll always have more of it, but people don't get to schedule their final hour, they don't get a notification when it's their last sunrise. One moment you're here, and the next you're a memory in someone else's mind. That's the brutal truth, and yet most people live as if that truth doesn't apply to them. You have no control over the length of your life. But you do have a say in its depth, and that's what the present demands of you, not speed, not performance, not perfection, but depth, attention, meaning. If you keep waiting for the big moment to change your life, you'll miss all the small moments that were trying to wake you up. The opportunity to be kind, the chance to choose courage, the nudge to forgive, the whisper to start again. Those aren't interruptions. Those are the moments, and they're happening right now. Some people spend decades climbing a ladder, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. They get to the top and realize they never lived. Don't let that be you. Don't look back years from now and wonder where it all went. Wonder why you never did what you said you'd do. Wonder why you were always waiting. Waiting for a better time, for more money, for fewer problems, for the perfect feeling. That time doesn't exist. All that exists is this breath, this choice, this day. People say, I'll change when things settle down. But things never settle down. Life doesn't pause to give you clarity. Clarity comes when you start living awake, when you start treating the present like it matters, because it does. Eternity is not waiting at the end of your life. It's pressing in right now. The decisions you make in this moment echo far beyond it. That's not poetic, that's real. There are consequences to how you spend your time. There are consequences to how you ignore your calling. There are consequences to pretending this doesn't matter. So why do you keep pushing everything important into the future? Why do you keep making excuses for not living with purpose? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's laziness. Maybe it's comfort. Whatever it is, it's not worth trading your life for. You don't have the luxury of delay. You don't have time to waste on things that don't matter, on goals that don't satisfy, on people who don't push you closer to who you're meant to be. There is an urgency in the present because it's the only ground you can plant your feet on. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is a maybe, but today is a miracle you get to touch. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been waiting for permission, this is it. If you've been waiting for the perfect time, stop waiting. It's now. It's always been now. There is no pause button. This is not a rehearsal. This is not practice. This is life, and it's moving faster than you think. False security is one of the most dangerous deceptions a person can live under because it convinces you that you are safe when you are not. It comforts you when you should be trembling. It whispers that everything is fine while the ground beneath you is cracking. And the worst part is, most people don't even realize they're living in it. They've built their lives on things that feel stable, that look reliable, but when tested, they'll crumble like dust in the wind. And by the time they realize it, it's too late. People find security in all kinds of things. Some put their trust in money. They think as long as there's enough in the account, as long as the bills are paid, as long as the future is financially padded, then they're secure. But that's an illusion. Money doesn't promise peace. It only offers distraction. It can't stop disease. It can't hold back grief. It can't buy back time. And when life falls apart, and it will fall apart, money just sits there, cold and silent, unable to do anything of real value. Still, people cling to it like it's a shield against the storms of life. Others place their confidence in their routine, their job, their status. They say, I've worked hard for this. I've built something for myself. I have direction. I have a plan. But plans don't protect you from reality. A calendar full of meetings doesn't mean your life has meaning. A job title doesn't guarantee joy. A 5-year plan can vanish in 5 seconds. All it takes is one call, one diagnosis, one accident, one decision made by someone else, and suddenly the whole thing unravels. And then what? What happens when the thing you trusted in can't catch you? Then there are those who lean on their own goodness, their morality. They say, I'm a decent person. I try to be kind. I don't hurt anybody. I do my best. But they've missed the point entirely. Being good, by human standards, might earn you compliments, but it doesn't make you right before the one who sees the heart. We're so quick to compare ourselves to others, always finding someone worse to make ourselves feel better. But what if the standard isn't other people? What if the standard is holiness, righteousness, purity? Then suddenly our goodness doesn't look so good. And yet we walk around with this false confidence, assuming we're fine because we haven't done anything too bad. It's like someone standing in the middle of a burning house and saying, well, at least I'm not in the basement. You're still on fire, you're still in danger, but you think you're safe because you've measured yourself against the wrong thing. Comfort is another liar people run to. As long as things feel comfortable, no major problems, no interruptions, no real pain, we assume everything must be okay. But comfort isn't peace, comfort is silence. It's stillness, and silence can be deadly when it masks the sound of your soul slowly drifting. You can be numb and not know you're dying. You can be surrounded by nice things, smiling faces, and peaceful scenery while your spirit is asleep, cold, dull, and empty. People confuse comfort with blessing, but sometimes comfort is just camouflage. It's the quiet that comes before the collapse. Some people even find a false sense of security in religion. They attend the services, know the language, check all the boxes, and assume that outward appearance equals inward transformation. But rituals don't change hearts. Attendance doesn't equal intimacy. You can go through all the motions and never know the one you claim to follow. And that's terrifying, to spend your whole life thinking you were close to the truth, only to find out you were just near it, but never in it, just outside the door but never stepping through. There's a kind of religion that soothes the conscience without saving the soul. It gives you just enough morality to feel safe, but not enough truth to actually wake you up. The problem with false security is that it feels good. That's why it's so dangerous. It calms you when you should be convicted. It reassures you when you should be asking questions, and it thrives in environments where people are more concerned with appearances than substance, in communities where being nice is more important than being honest, in lives where success is measured by comfort, achievement, and approval, not by integrity, sacrifice, and truth. So people build their lives on this foundation, and it looks solid, it looks good, but it's made of sand. It can't hold the weight of real life. It can't hold the weight of eternity. When trials come, and they will come, false security shows its true nature. When pain enters your life, when you lose what you counted on, when the future you expected vanishes overnight, false security is exposed. And in that moment, you either face the truth or you double down on the lie. Some people wake up. Others dig deeper into their denial, refusing to admit that what they built their lives on can't save them. They keep pretending, they patch the cracks, they turn up the music, they fill the silence, anything to avoid facing the truth that they are not as safe as they thought. False security doesn't shout. It whispers, it sings lullabies, it tells you to relax, to keep doing what you're doing. It tells you you're fine, that there's no need to change, no need to examine your life, no need to ask hard questions. It wants you comfortable, passive, distracted. It wants you so convinced of your safety that you never even bother to check if you're standing on solid ground. But there's no safety in pretending. There's no peace in lies. What you trust in matters. Where you find your security shapes your entire life. If you've placed your confidence in anything that can be taken away, your health, your success, your relationships, your image, your own sense of goodness, then your foundation is weak, and it's only a matter of time before it cracks beneath you. And when it does, it won't be enough to say, "But I thought I was okay." The question isn't what you felt, the question is what was true, and truth doesn't care about your comfort, it cares about your soul. There's a strange kind of pride that comes with being busy. People wear it like a badge. Ask someone how they're doing, and more often than not, you'll hear it, busy. As if that's the proof they're doing something right, that their life must be full of meaning because every hour is filled, every minute accounted for. But busyness doesn't equal purpose. Activity doesn't guarantee direction. And in fact, one of the greatest dangers in life is being too busy to realize you're not actually going anywhere that matters. The illusion of busyness is powerful because it feels like progress. It gives the sensation that you're moving forward, getting things done, accomplishing something. You cross off your to-do list, attend meetings, respond to messages, meet deadlines, hustle from one place to another, and for a while that can be enough to silence the questions. The noise of busyness drowns out the discomfort of stillness. You don't have to stop and think. You don't have to examine your life. You don't have to wonder why you're doing what you're doing. You just keep going, because going is easier than facing the possibility that you've been running in circles. There are people who have mastered the art of looking productive while slowly wasting their lives. They've learned how to stay busy enough to avoid deep reflection. They're constantly in motion, and yet they are not awake. Their days are full, but their souls are empty. They rush from one obligation to the next, driven by pressure, by fear, by expectation, but never by purpose, and that's the tragedy. You can spend your entire life being efficient and still end up profoundly unfulfilled. Because the truth is, it's not about how much you do, it's about what you're doing and why. Some people stay busy because they're afraid of what they'll find if they slow down. They know there are cracks in the foundation of their lives, but as long as they keep moving, they don't have to look at them. As long as they stay distracted, they don't have to admit that they're lost. Busyness becomes a hiding place. It's the perfect cover. On the outside, everything looks fine, productive, impressive even, but on the inside, there's confusion, fear, exhaustion, a quiet desperation that no one else sees. We live in a world that celebrates hustle. It applauds the grind. It rewards those who are always available, always working, always pushing. And while discipline and hard work have their place, there's a line that's easy to cross, a line where work becomes worship, where movement becomes madness. You begin to believe that your worth is tied to your output, that your value comes from how much you accomplish, so you keep piling on more responsibilities, more projects, more goals. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, what's it all for? What's the point of all this motion if it's not taking you anywhere that matters? There are people who are exhausted but don't know why. They're not carrying physical burdens, they're carrying invisible ones. The weight of proving themselves, the pressure of keeping up, the fear of falling behind, and in that frantic pace, they lose sight of what's important. They miss moments with the people they love. They miss the quiet invitations to reflect, to be still, to listen. They miss the gentle nudges that come when life slows down enough to notice what really matters. But when you're busy all the time, those moments feel like interruptions instead of the lifelines they are. The illusion of busyness is that it makes you feel important. You look around and see everyone else doing the same thing, rushing, striving, pushing forward, and you assume this must be the way, this must be how life works. But what if it's not? What if we've all just agreed to a lie? What if the pace we've normalized is actually keeping us from living the life we were created for? Because here's the truth. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. Just because your schedule is full doesn't mean your soul is fed. There's a kind of clarity that only comes with slowness. When the noise fades, when the chaos pauses, you begin to hear the deeper questions rising to the surface. Who am I really becoming? What kind of legacy am I building? Is what I'm doing today going to matter 5 years from now, or 10, or in eternity? Those aren't the kinds of questions that get answered while you're speeding through life. They require stillness, honesty, courage, and busyness will rob you of every one of them if you let it. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't failure, it's success in the wrong things. It's climbing a ladder that leads to a rooftop with no view. It's reaching your goals only to find out they weren't worth reaching, and the heartbreaking part is, you won't even realize it until you stop, until you step back and evaluate where all this motion is taking you. That's the cost of the illusion. It keeps you running so fast, you never stop to ask if you're headed in the right direction. People talk about being too busy to think, but what they're really saying is they've become so addicted to movement that they've forgotten how to live. They're surviving off momentum, but momentum without direction is chaos. It's not sustainable, and eventually it leads to burnout, emptiness, and regret. The kind of regret that doesn't come from doing something wrong, but from realizing you spent your life doing things that didn't matter. And this isn't just about overcommitted schedules, this is about the posture of the heart. You can be physically still and still be busy inside, your mind racing, your soul restless, your attention scattered. You never fully arrive in any moment because you're always thinking about the next thing. That's not living, that's just existing in a constant state of distraction. And when you live that way long enough, you forget how to be present. You forget how to be quiet. You forget how to truly see the people around you. You forget how to hear your own soul. You were not created to live in a constant state of hurry. You were not designed to measure your days by how much you got done. Life is not a checklist. It's not a productivity contest. It's meant to be lived with intention, with depth, with awareness. But none of that is possible when you're moving too fast to see straight. So many people are sprinting through life, eyes fixed on a finish line they can't even define. And they'll get there wherever there is only to discover they never actually lived. They just ran, and the great tragedy is that they thought they were doing everything right. They thought busyness meant they were on track. They thought the chaos was normal, but normal isn't the same as good, and busy isn't the same as alive. Divine accountability is not a theory. It is not a religious suggestion or a motivational idea to help you live cleaner or more responsibly. It is a reality, one that is constant, personal, and inescapable. Whether or not you choose to acknowledge it, every breath you take, every thought you entertain, every action you commit is seen, every motive is measured. Every moment is weighed. You are not living unseen. You are not operating in darkness. You are not anonymous in this world, no matter how loud the distractions are or how cleverly you've covered up your inner life. We live in a culture that avoids accountability at all costs. People want freedom, but not responsibility. They want choices, but not consequences. They want a version of life that lets them do whatever they want, whenever they want, and still believe everything will turn out fine. They convince themselves they are the only authority they need. They say things like, "Only God can judge me," without stopping to think about what that actually means. Because if that statement is true, if God really can and will judge, then the weight of that truth should make us tremble. Not because he is cruel, but because he is holy, and holiness cannot ignore sin. Justice does not overlook rebellion. A righteous God cannot sweep evil under the rug just because we don't feel like facing it. He sees the heart, not the image we project, not the filtered version we show the world, but the real thing, the envy, the pride, the self-justification, the lies we tell ourselves to sleep at night, the compromise we excuse, the bitterness we nurture in secret. He sees it all, and every single part of our lives will be brought into the light. That is divine accountability. That is the truth we cannot escape, but we live like we can. We live like we're not going to stand before him. We make decisions based on convenience instead of conviction. We serve ourselves and still expect to be applauded for being good people. We pretend like intention is enough, that meaning well makes up for living wrong. We cling to man-made standards of morality and assume that if we can just be better than the next person, we're in the clear. But that's not the measure. The standard is not comparison. The standard is perfection, and none of us meet it. And that's where the weight of divine accountability lands on the soul, because deep down we all know we're not clean. We all know we've fallen short. We all carry guilt, even if we mask it with humor or success or self-justification. And in those quiet moments when everything is still, that truth rises. The knowledge that one day we will give an account, not just for our actions, but for our apathy, for our silence, for the times we knew what was right but didn't do it, for the times we saw suffering and chose comfort, for the truth we ignored and the lies we embraced because they felt better. This isn't about fear, mongering. It's about waking up to reality, because the longer you live asleep, the easier it becomes to think that your choices don't matter. But they do. Every decision is shaping something eternal. You are not a random collection of days and experiences. You are a soul on a journey with a destination, and at the end of that road is a throne, and on that throne is not you. It is the one who made you, the one who has been watching, waiting, calling you back while you chased everything else but him. The accountability we face isn't just for the bad we've done. It's also for the good we were called to do and didn't. For the time we wasted, the people we ignored, the calling we buried under comfort and distraction. Divine accountability doesn't just judge the obvious. It judges the hidden, the lukewarmness, the spiritual laziness. The double life, the empty words, the unspoken prayers. The comfortable version of faith that requires nothing, changes nothing, costs nothing. That's not faith, that's self-deception. And God will not be mocked by it. There is no pretending in front of him, no performing, no manipulating, no spinning the truth. On that day, your resume won't matter, your reputation won't matter, your excuses won't matter, all the applause of people won't follow you into that room. All the achievements, the validation, the distractions, they'll fall silent, and it will be just you and him, face to face, heart to heart. And what will be said then? What will you answer when the only opinion that ever mattered asks you to give an account? Some people think they have time to figure it all out. They think accountability is some far-off event. They live like judgment is a distant possibility, not an ever-present reality. But every day you breathe, you are writing the story that will be read on that day. Every word, every silence, every compromise, every sacrifice. It all matters. This moment matters. Not because you can impress God with your goodness, but because your life is not your own. You were created with purpose. You were given time, breath, influence, opportunity, not to build your own kingdom, but to walk in obedience to his. You don't get to live any way you want, and then demand mercy at the end. Mercy is not owed. Grace is not automatic. You must choose it. You must surrender. Divine accountability means that your life is not disconnected from eternity. Every choice echoes. Every refusal to bow, every refusal to repent, every day you push him away because you're too busy or too proud or too afraid, it all builds up, and there will come a time when the weight of all of it will come down. And when that day comes, the only thing that will matter is truth. Not the version of your life you hoped people believed, not the performance, not the mask, just truth. And if you're not ready for that day, if your soul is not surrendered, if your heart is still clinging to control, then you're walking toward a reckoning you cannot survive. Divine accountability is not meant to crush you. It's meant to awaken you. It's the loving warning of a holy God who is still giving you time to respond. But make no mistake, he will require an answer, and that answer won't come from your lips. It will come from your life. Wake up. That's not a suggestion. That's not a gentle whisper. That is a cry, a soul-piercing cry that echoes through the stillness of your life. Wake up, because you're asleep while everything that truly matters is passing you by. You're breathing, yes, but you're not awake. You're functioning, sure, but you're not alive in the way you were created to be. You're going through the motions, ticking the boxes, playing the part, while the very essence of life, the weight, the wonder, the urgency, is slipping through your fingers. There is a sleep that looks like comfort, but it's really just numbness. There is a routine that looks like stability, but it's really just stagnation. And far too many have traded a real, vibrant life for a sleepwalk that feels safe. You fall into it slowly, one compromise at a time, one delay, one rationalization. You start saying later instead of now. You stop listening to the restlessness inside you. You stop wrestling with your purpose. You dull your convictions, not because you've thought it through, but because it's easier that way, and so you become passive, you become careless, and without realizing it, you begin to drift, but the soul was never made to drift. It was made to burn, to move, to rise, to wrestle, to live fully awake to truth and eternity and the weight of every passing moment. There is a voice, not of guilt, but of grace, calling you back. It says, look at your life. Really look at it. Not the image, not the routine, not the noise, but the truth. Look at what you've become. Look at what you've settled for, and then ask the question, is this it? Is this what I was made for? Wakefulness isn't just about energy or attention. It's about awareness. It's a soul-level alertness to what is real and what is eternal. It's the ability to see through the fog of distraction, the lies of comfort, and the lullaby of a world that wants you to stay asleep. Because as long as you're asleep, you're easy to control. As long as you're numb, you won't fight. As long as you're content with just surviving, you'll never step into the fight you were born to engage in. But make no mistake, there is a fight, and you're already in it, whether you choose to see it or not. There's an urgency that can't be taught, only awakened, and it begins when you realize how much you've missed while you were asleep. The conversations you didn't have, the moments you glossed over, the callings you ignored, the people you neglected, the hours you wasted scrolling, hiding, drifting, and it hits you, not with guilt, but with grief. The grief of knowing you were made for more than this, the grief of realizing you've been asleep in a burning house, that while you were distracted, the eternal was unfolding around you, and you didn't even notice. But the beautiful and terrifying thing about being called to wakefulness is that once you're awake, you can never go back to sleep the same way. You can try, you can distract yourself again, you can drown out the voice. You can busy yourself, you can numb your soul with comfort and noise. But once you've tasted the weight of being truly alive, everything else feels hollow. Every fake smile, every shallow moment, every easy escape, it all feels like settling. Because it is settling, there is a fire that is meant to burn in you, a fire that is not emotional hype or temporary resolve. It's the fire of clarity, of conviction, of eternity pressing against your chest. And it doesn't come through entertainment. It doesn't come through comfort. It comes through confrontation with yourself, with truth, with God. It comes when you stop making excuses and finally admit that something inside you has gone cold. It comes when you realize that being busy doesn't mean being awake, that having motion doesn't mean having purpose. You can be running full speed toward nothing. So this is the call, not to more activity, not to more productivity, but to wakefulness. Wakefulness that sees the state of your soul and refuses to ignore it. Wakefulness that hears the whisper of eternity louder than the scream of culture. Wakefulness that doesn't wait for a crisis to start paying attention. Because waiting until the world falls apart is not wisdom, that's panic. Real wisdom is waking up before the storm hits. It's recognizing the signs while everyone else is sleeping. It's preparing your heart, aligning your life, lifting your eyes, even if no one else is. There's something sacred about urgency, not panic, not anxiety, but urgency, the kind that comes when you realize that you don't get forever, that time is not your possession, that the next breath is not promised. That every minute you stay asleep, someone else stays unreached. Every day you delay, something eternal may be lost. And when you begin to live with that kind of wakefulness, everything changes, your choices. Your conversations, your habits, your prayers. You stop asking, how can I do just enough to get by? And start asking, how can I give everything I've got while I still have breath? The call to wakefulness is a call to responsibility, not just for your own soul, but for the world around you. Because once your eyes open, you start seeing what others don't. You see the spiritual emptiness hiding behind success. You see the desperation masked by busyness. You see the search for meaning in all the wrong places, and suddenly you can't ignore it. You can't pretend you don't see the need. You can't look away. You've been awakened, not for yourself alone, but for the sake of others. Because someone has to be the one who sees clearly when everyone else is asleep. Someone has to be the one who refuses to drift, and that someone could be you, not because you're perfect, not because you have all the answers, but because you're done pretending, you're done settling, you're done sleeping through a life that was never meant to be lived on autopilot. You're ready to feel again, to wrestle again, to listen again, to live again, to walk with God, not just in moments of crisis, but in the raw, ordinary minutes of the day. You're ready to let him disrupt your plans, interrupt your routines, shake your comfort, because you know that anything that wakes you up is mercy. So if your soul is stirring, if something inside you is rising, don't quiet it. Don't brush it off. Don't go back to sleep. Let the discomfort grow. Let the questions rise. Let the ache deepen. Because sometimes the ache is the first sign that you're finally waking up. And when that happens, you'll see that the life you've been living is not the life you were made for. You were made for more, and that more begins not in doing, but in waking up. Wake up, because your life is not a rehearsal. Wake up, because eternity is already moving. Wake up, because the time is now.